Okay, so I wanted to make this little video real quick. I saw on the forums, the first gen forums, some guys I think are confused about the differences between the 4-speed and the 5-speed in the Tundras. I see a lot of guys thinking about highway RPMs and thinking that the 5-speed has an extra gear, which it does. But I think a lot of people think that extra gear is on the top end, so you're going to get significantly lower RPMs on the freeway, where in reality, you can see from these schematics that the extra gear is really on the bottom end of the 5-speed. If you look here, your first gear on the 4-speed here is 2.804 ratio, and the first gear on the 5-speed is a 3.520 ratio. So it's got a significantly deeper first gear on the 5-speed. And then we go into the second gear here on the 4-speed, it's 1.5. And the second speed on the 5-speed is a 2.0. And then you get the third, we're at 1.0 on the 4-speed. And third on the 5-speed is 1.4. And now if you look at the final gear ratio on the 4-speed, it's 0.705. And the final gear ratio on the 5-speed is 0.716. So that's only a 0.01 difference as far as the final drive ratio. So that's not really going to make a huge difference in your highway RPMs. Obviously, if the 5-speed is paired with a 410 diff, that's going to be different than with a 391 diff. Or really, your axle gears are going to make a big difference. But as far as the actual transmission goes, your final drive ratio is going to be really, really similar. So you see third to fourth on the 4-speed, 1.0 to 7.5. Fourth to fifth on the 5-speed, 1.0 to 0.07. Excuse me, 0.71. So the actual final click from into overdrive or into the final gear is almost exactly the same on the 5-speed and the 4-speed. So yeah, they basically kind of split the difference between first and second. So they dropped first to 3.5 and then went into 2.0 in second, whereas you're starting at 2.8, which is sort of in the middle of those two on the 4-speed. So they just sort of smoothed it out. This is the one thing about my truck that I wish I did have the 5-speed, because that 3.5 first is really nice, especially like off-road type of stuff. Around town driving, that lower bottom end is pretty nice for these trucks, because we all know they're missing some bottom end. So when you see alternative posts between 4-speed and 5-speed and people are asking your highway RPMs, it's really a non-issue between the 4-speed and the 5-speed, because like I said, the final drive 0.705 versus 0.716 is pretty minimal as far as what your RPMs are going to be on cruising speed. So like I said, the real advantage of the 5-speed is a deeper bottom end as opposed to a higher top end. Your extra gear, quote unquote, is coming at the bottom, not at the top. Anyway, I don't know if I made that more confusing or less confusing, but I see it all the time, and I just kind of think that people are thinking what they did with the 4-speed to the 5-speed is they just dropped another gear on top. So they're thinking, oh, well, I get up to 4th gear and then I'm at a certain RPM, and then with the 5-speed, you added another one at the top end, which logically I understand why people would think that, but that's not what they did. They just deepened the bottom end. So there you go.